Good evening, everybody. This is Robin with another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight, and my guest tonight he's an actor, Kevin Porter. How's it going, Kevin?
It's going great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, no, thank you. Um, let's talk about, you're a geek like me. You're a huge Batman geek. Okay, you did a lot of films being Batman. What got you into doing all these films as Batman?
Well, I started off, I'm an actor in Los Angeles, and I started off by answering an ad, a posting, a casting. They're looking for actors to portray Batman for live appearances throughout the world. And I thought, wow, that sounds like the greatest gig ever. And so I went, and I ended up getting cast, and I was the DC and Warner Brothers official Batman. So whenever they needed Batman for a parade or a store opening or anything like that, they would send me. And I did the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. So many really, really cool things. And then I'd been doing that for like 4 or 5 years, and I ran into the folks from Bat in the Sun, who approached me to be in a couple of their fan films. I wasn't interested initially, but they were very persuasive, so to speak.
I bet. I just watched Batman Dying is Easy, and your Batman, you nailed it. To me, it was, you portrayed it off of as a very dark, intimidated, dark knight, and you had the deep voice, which kind of sounded a little bit like Kevin Conroy a little bit, but it was pretty good.
I love that. Thank you so much. That's great. That's a wonderful compliment and a wonderful comparison.
I think so too. And then in the film, you can tell it got very tense, intimate, and emotional between you and the Joker in the interrogation room. What was that like to do that scene, and how much preparation did you do just to stay in that character?
Batman I've been doing for a long time, so staying in that pocket is something that I could do rather easily. I cut off myself from the outside world, and I stay in that zone. With Aaron, the guy that played the Joker, it was much more difficult because he was also the director. So he would do the scene, then he'd run and watch playback, make his changes, come back and do the scene again. It was very difficult because he had to hop in and out of character. I don't know how he did it. It was much more difficult because also he wrote it. So wrote it, he directed it, and he played in it.
Yeah, I really did enjoy it. I mean, like I told you, I've seen a lot of Batman short films and films everywhere, and I watched Bat in the Sun too, but I never knew about Batman as Batman dying. So I looked it up, and it's gotten like tons of views and a lot of great reviews on it too.
Yeah, I think it's over 10 million views. I watched the film that you had sent me, and somehow that was on my radar a while back ago. I've already seen it, and I loved it. I really did. I loved the universe. It was in the Tim Burton universe, and it was a Batman film without having a lot of Batman, and I loved that. It was dialogue-driven, not a lot of action, and if you cared about the characters, then it was successful, and I cared about those characters. I'm not quite sure. I can't remember. What was the name of it?
It was called Batman the Oath, and it was directed by my friend John. He's the one that wrote it, directed it, because he's like a huge Batman fan. And he had got everything accurate from the '89 Batman universe. And, I mean, the costumes, the Gotham Police Department uniforms, they were, like, all dead on. So what'd you think of it after you watched it?
The Oath?
Yes.
Loved it. I loved, the art design was great. It was shot really well. The performances were great. I really enjoyed it. And I had seen it before, and I don't remember when I saw it, but I know that I really enjoyed it. And I love Tim Burton's universe. I love the Batman suit. I need to reach out to that director and give him an attaboy, and he did a really, really good job.
Yeah, I can definitely do that to you. I can send you his link to his Facebook page or Instagram, and you can tell him he'd get a kick out of it.
Absolutely. It's funny that you reached out to me on your show, and we're talking. I said, "Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm honored." And then you had never seen Batman Vader. You've never seen Dying Is Easy. I'm like, well, dang, that's those are Batman Vader has collectively 40 million views, which is crazy. And I was like, wow. Then if you don't know about Batman, I'm honored that you reached out to me.
Yeah, like I said, I've never seen those films. I've seen other ones, but like I said, I watch Bat in the Sun sometimes, but not all the time because there's so many great fan films out there of, Batman and all the great DC and also Marvel characters out there. Another good one that's out there, it was directed by an Australian. It was during the COVID lockdown. He did one was called Batman The Dark Knight Lockdown. So he wrote it where Bruce Wayne lost everything. Batman lost everything because there was no crime to fight. So it was like a action, dark humor. They would have a scene where he's selling like the Batmobile, because he can't afford it anymore. And, the Joker and Penguin, they're like stuck in the house. They don't want to come out. You need to check that one out too. Batman Dark Knight Lockdown. That's another great one.
I definitely will. Sooner or later, every well-made Batman fan film comes across my desk. So I'll definitely check that one out.
Now, let's talk about another favorite hero I loved, and you're going to do it. You're going to be playing Space Ghost, man. Come on.
Super excited about that. That couldn't have come at a better time with the SAG strike and not a lot going on. So I've got a lot of filmmaker friends that just want to get out there and have some fun. And this is a character that I've loved since I was 5-6 years old. And then it was brought back for, coast to coast. And I'm like, oh my goodness, they completely revamped and reinvented it. And it was just, it was always been a dream of mine to play this character because I think I was kind of built for this character. Hold on, let me show you something.
I got to see this. This ought to be cool. Oh, wow. That is amazing. I can't wait for you to put it on in the costume. You're going to rock it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's awesome. And so I knew that one day the timing would be right for me to step out of Space Ghost. The Space Ghost has never been done live action. And the strike happened, and I'm like, I think maybe now is the time to do it. And so I just wanted to include as many of the fans as possible to step forward and be a part of this.
I'm definitely going to be part of it. Isn't it you guys doing the Indiegogo?
Yes. It's a GoFundMe, I believe. GoFundMe.
I'm definitely going to do that because I like Space Ghost. I love the original 60 series. Then they had
that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they had another series where they brought them back in the 80s called Space Stars.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Good memory.
Yeah, and then, like in the early 90s, they brought them into comic book form. There was tons of comic book series. And then when I saw your Instagram post about you doing Space Ghost, man, I had a major geek-gasm. It's like, dude, I got to get this guy on my show so we can talk about Batman and Space Ghost.
I've always been a Batman fan. And it's something that I think that I do well. I think I've got a good Batman voice. I got a good stature, and it's in my wheelhouse. However, Space Ghost, forget about it. Just the voice, the campiness, the sense of humor, the snarkiness, the sarcasm, all day long. I'm so excited to play this character. So excited.
Are you going to get excited when you get to wear the bracelets, the blaster bracelets?
Oh, yeah. The gauntlets? Absolutely. Oh, yeah. I'm going to be doing a lot of that.
Yeah. Isn't Zordak going to be in it as well? That's my favorite Space Ghost film.
Yes. Yeah. That is going to be voiced by Scott White. And Scott White is just a legend in the industry, a legend in video games and anime, and also in front of the camera as well. He's been in some amazing films.
So are we also going to see Jan and Jason Blip?
Gosh, I will tell you, if we hit our stretch goals, I would love to bring them in. I would love to, but that's going to require them having suits, and but honestly, I would love to have them in.
I'm just excited. There's going to be a Space Ghost live action, man. I'm just way beyond, and you're the perfect role to it. I mean, you fit the role. You're Space Ghost, man.
I appreciate that. That means so much to me. It really does. It's just going to be fun. It's just going to be fun. There are two roles that I've always wanted to play. One is Space Ghost. The other one is the Adam West version of Batman.
Ooh, that would be pretty good too. Also, you're going to be doing another film, as Batman, The Girl in the Mask, about Stephanie Brown's Spoiler.
Yes, absolutely. That's with a production company up in Chicago. Tim Coe. It's called Method to Madness, and they reached out to me about a couple years ago to be a part of this. And I just respect them. I really I respect their integrity. I respect their work ethic. They're kind, honest people. And I said, yeah, and they do really good work. So I'm more than happy to go up there and lend my abilities to their projects.
And the actress they got, Adriana, she will nail it as Stephanie Brown. I mean, she's got the look to her for Stephanie Brown.
Yeah. I've been blessed. I was blessed to have done a couple of scenes with her for the teaser, and she was just such a dream. Such a dream. So
did you guys have that great chemistry while you did a little bit about, working it on the set?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she was just great, and it's so funny. I love working, and it's interesting seeing myself now as like an elder statesman, but working with younger actors, and they're just so full of life and ambition and excitement, and I hate saying like I used to be, but because I still am. But she was wonderful, wonderful.
I can't wait to see that. I mean, that's pretty good because I still read the Batman comics today, and I remember when when Spoiler debuted in the Batman comics, and she was Spoiler for a while, and then for a short while they made that character Stephanie become Robin for a short time too, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, you're definitely up on your comics. That's absolutely the truth.
I would
have to say, on top of everything.
Oh heck yeah! You got to do your research, man. You got to make this podcast fun. And then you worked with another actor I really enjoy. Most of his stuff he does is pretty golden. You did a couple things with Casper Van Dien. What's that like to work with him on the set, and how cool is he? I've heard a lot of great things about him. He's like, very genuine type of dude to work with on a set.
Casper is one of my best friends. I've known him for years. I spoke at his wedding in Tennessee, and we have such a great friendship and great chemistry. And it started. We started off with a friendship, and then we would go over to game night, and we would go over to Casper and Jenny's house every Saturday night for years, and we would just play charades. We just talk and that's how friendships are made. That's how bonds are created. That's how foundations are poured. And then from that, I think our first project that we worked on together was Doolittle's Heroes. We did Salvage Marines. We did, Most Dangerous Game. Then we just did another film called Old Status. Another film called Project Butterfly. So I've probably done maybe 6 films with him. And when I look back at the experience, all I can think about is it's just he and I talking, hanging out, laughing on set. Up in Washington, when we shot The Most Dangerous Game, we sat by the fire and just talked as we looked at the mountains and the trees and the mist and the clouds, and it's just wonderful. He is as great of a human being and a person as you can imagine. Just such a wonderful, wonderful man.
He seems like he is. I met him once at a convention. I believe it was up in Detroit. I think it was Steel City, and he was just a very cool dude. I mean, he took his time and talked with everybody. He didn't rush everybody. You can tell he was having fun on whatever he does. It could be a convention, being on a movie set. You can just tell he's just a fun type of dude.
Yeah, he's the real thing, and he also has a bit of that old Hollywood charm to him. He's got the chiseled good looks, and he's bigger than life, and he cares. Gosh, I just love him. And to be honest, we probably chat, I'd say, a couple times a week, because he's not far from me. I'm down in Jacksonville, Florida right now, and he's down in southwest Florida. So we're planning a meetup in the next month.
So do you guys see each other working together on another film?
Absolutely. If there's anyone that, if you asked, who I would predict that I would work with again, it's absolutely Casper.
That's pretty good too. Now, are you big into horror?
On and off. My favorite movie is John Carpenter's Halloween. That's my favorite. But as far as the over the top, campy, cheesy, modern, blood and gut stuff, not as much. I'm more of a suspense fan.
Really, what's your favorite suspense film, and what got you into that genre? What you enjoy about it?
It would be Halloween. I don't consider that a horror movie. And what attracted me is that you relied more on the setup. You relied more on situationally what's occurring. You didn't have to fall back on any of the cheats, like the blood and like the violence and things like that. You just knew what was happening, and it was through good storytelling. And I like movies like I was just talking about this movie the other night. It's Harrison Ford, Michelle Pfeiffer movie, What Lies Beneath. That was a really good movie. That was a ghost story, and I like a good ghost story. Gosh, I'm not. But as far as like all of the the new Texas Chainsaw Massacres and things like that, or Saw or Jigsaw and things like that, I'm not that interested.
Yeah, I'm like you. I'm a big fan of John Carpenter. Anything John Carpenter does, I watch because it's golden. I mean, I loved his Halloween. I loved when he did The Thing, Escape from New York. I just like all of his music in the films too, because his music is unique and different. And I love how he makes the soundtrack in each of his films like a main character in each scene. Like you were talking about Halloween. The thing I liked about original Halloween, he messes with your mind. You imagine what's going on, and then like you said, there's going to be a kill scene. But the cool thing about it, it's not brutal, it's not bloody. You just know when it's going to happen, and that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, the end result is death. They're dead. We get it. We don't need to see it. We get it, and that's enough. That's tragic enough. And you could say, well, your imagination does 10 times more. No, they're dead. These kids are dead. That's enough, and you know what's happening. And like the scene to where she forgets her keys, and she goes back to the house, and she comes back to get in the car, and he's in the car, and she's looking, and the windows are fogged up. We've all forgotten our keys. We've all gone, into the garage, and just all of the setups were very familiar to all of us. And that was another thing that I thought was brilliant, is they made everything very relatable. We've all dated babysitters, and we've all gone over to the babysitters' houses, and just things like that. And it's just nothing bad. We're just good kids. Hijinks here or there. But they made all of the characters relatable. They made all the situations relatable. And the thing that scared me the most is he wasn't supernatural. He just had problems. And that is very, very realistic. And you see what's going on in the news today. And it happens. Halloween happens almost every day. We don't film it. That's what's horrible.
Yeah, and the one scene that always gets me all the time is the part where you see like Lori walking down the sidewalk and he's staring right behind her in that hedge. That hedge freaks me out. And you can really see that happening in real life. I mean, you can just be walking normal too. You wouldn't know if somebody's like staring at you. You just don't know.
No, you don't. No, you don't. And that's enough.
I know it's enough too. And you're also, you did another film. You were like a professional dodgeballer.
Yeah. It's a little movie by the name of Dodgeball, and that's the movie that changed my life. So blessed to have been a part of that.
So, how did Dodgeball change your life, and how did you get a part in it?
Well, how I got the part was I auditioned. My agent told me that there was this film coming out, and he's going to submit me for it. And then it's a Ben Stiller film, and I would play one of the main bad guys, one of his henchmen. So I'm like, okay, sounds cool. Didn't really think much of it. And then when I went to the audition, I found it was more physicality. They put us through these athletic drills, throwing the ball at us, tumbling, things like that. I'm like, okay, cool. Then I ended up getting cast. I'm like, okay, that's going to be a month of my life, which is exciting. But it really hit me when I went in for the costume to get fitted, because you go into the seamstress office and you see all the concept art all over the walls. And I saw them, and they're wearing the Purple Cobra outfits. It's artists drawing all of this. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what we're going to be wearing? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, sign me up. Absolutely. And so we shot it, and we shot it in late 2003. And then you forget about it. Then it's released in June of 2004. And it was big. It did well over 100 million. And then, like anything else, it has its own cycle, and it goes away. But then it came back, and FX picked it up, and then FX ran it every single day for like years. And then now people recognize me. Hey, were you Lazer in Dodgeball? I said, yes. yes. And then every year you have just thousands and thousands of people that are dressed up as us for Halloween. And we always get tagged in people's Halloween costumes. And it's a gift. And I probably do 6 to 8 dodgeball conventions or dodgeball tournaments a year. They invite me to come in. It's for charity. I'll be like the chancellor. I'll give a nice little speech. I'll go over the rules. And I don't really know the rules, and just making stuff up, because I don't really play dodgeball. We're just reacting.
That's
what a gift! What a gift that was.
That's pretty cool. So, what was it like to be, being part of the dodgeball team with Ben Stiller? Man, he was crazy.
It was great. He was consummate professional. He wasn't as goofy as you would think he was. Mm-hmm. He was also a producer on that film. Rawson directed it, but you could tell that that Ben pretty much he was the leader of that project. So he was always focusing.
That's pretty good. I mean, it had a great cast. It had him in it, Vince Vaughn, Justin Long, Tudek. I mean, you worked with a lot of great talent on that film.
Mm-hmm. It was great. And the Purple Cobras, myself, Brandon, Jamal, Missy, Rusty, they're dear friends of mine today. We have lunch probably once a year or so, and we'll just catch up. And I love those people so much. I see Brandon Mullally, I see a lot. Lazer, like he comes over all the time.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Have you guys ever talked about having a little dodgeball competition yourselves, just for the fun of it?
We have talked about like maybe some side projects. That comes up, but we do get busy, and we're doing our own thing. So, hopefully we can find some time, or hopefully someone else will spearhead it, and then we just step up and say, absolutely, we'll do it. Done.
So what are some other projects that are coming up your way that you're going to be doing next?
Well, I got a film coming out called Devil Comes to Kansas City. Got a film coming out called, I think I mentioned it earlier, Cult Status.
Yeah.
Dante's Hotel, that's going to be on Tubi. oh my gosh, a film I'm super proud of is directed by Jordan Foss. It's called Black Spines. Oh man, I play a small town sheriff, and who is investigating some murders that are going on in this town. It's just, wow, it's just such a great film. So I've shot a lot of things that are coming out later this year, early next year. Legend of the White Dragon, that thing that I did with About the Sun, that was pushed back to late first quarter of next year. I've done a lot of work that's coming out. I'm very excited.
So when you're not in front of the camera and having, playing the different characters and roles and having a blast, what does Kevin Porter enjoy doing on his off time? Do you have a certain hobby or a passion that you really enjoy?
I enjoy being physical. I like working out. I live right on the beach, so I like just going to the back door and just going down to the beach and swimming. I want to start surfing. I'm a big guy. I'm a big surfer. I'd like to start surfing, but I just love being active, and just working out is probably my biggest hobby, exercising.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I do a lot of that too. You got to, man. You got to keep alive, and you got to keep energetic. Good for you, brother.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
So where can everybody find you on social media so they know what you're going to be doing next?
Yeah. On Instagram, that's the main one. Just the Kevin Porter. The Kevin Porter. That's it.
That's just basically easy. Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say thank you so much for having me on. You're a pleasure, and I appreciate all of the research you put into this.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I like to make my podcast fun. I mean, I talk everything like horror and everything in pulp culture. I just like everything. I love sharing everybody's stories. And I like to make it fun for everybody. I like to talk about different subjects. I'll talk about, the main projects you are in, but I like to talk stuff to find out what people enjoy. And, of all the guests I've had on, really enjoyed it because they're like, thank you for letting me talk about this. And, it was enjoyment. And then I saw you do a live Instagram where you moved to California. Was it back in '98?
Yeah, good job. I think I did that one. I spoke on that this morning.
Yeah, so
back in 19.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I grew up in California. So in '96, I left California and moved to the Midwest.
Wow, we just passed each other.
Yeah, and when I saw your live video on the Instagram, I was like, wow, he went to California. I left California. I mean, that's just wild. It's just like it's a small world.
Yeah, and I left California again last month. I'm back in Florida.
Yeah, Florida. I heard it's fun. I've never been to Florida. I need to take a trip down there.
It's a great state. It's a wonderful state. It's very tropical, very southern, and the people are wonderful. The food's wonderful. It's just very laid back. It's a wonderful state.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you so much for having me. Invite me anytime. I'll be here.
Oh, I'm definitely going to have you on, man, because it's going to be a blast. I'm going to definitely follow to see what you do next. That movie you just mentioned where you play small town sheriff, I love movies like that. You have my attention on that one. I'm definitely going to see that one.
It's all dialogue, all performance. I love playing Batman, but I prefer characters that are dialogue driven and that have heart and the connection and you feel.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. And everybody, thank you for listening to Horror Pop After Midnight.